Okay, this is an off-the-cuff beginner's skipping video. Why would you skip? Why are we doing a skipping video? Number one, it translates to anything, any activity that you're gonna do. So whether you play a sport, whether you dance, whether you just walk around, skipping is good because it makes your body more elastic, and if you do it right, then it teaches you how to interact with the ground better with your feet. It requires minimum equipment and space, so all you need is a rope and hardly any space, just enough space to jump in place. Also, it's pretty easy to learn, as opposed to if someone wants to do something for fitness and they want to start going for runs. I would say that the learning curve is longer for where most people are at to learn efficient running so that they can go for longer runs in a way that's not going to gradually deteriorate their joints. It's easier to teach them skipping first, and then once they learn skipping right, it'll translate into learning running quicker. Lastly, with such little equipment and such a little amount of space needed, you can get a really good workout. Most people will find that even skipping continuously for just 5 minutes or 10 minutes is a very, very good workout. Preparation and setup. What do you need? Very little. You need a rope. What type of rope? Any type. It doesn't even have to be an official jump rope. You can just get an actual rope. As long as you can turn it, you can use a long belt. You can go to a hardware store and buy a long rope and use that. Or you can get a skipping rope, which is pretty easy to get. I like to use these wiry ropes. I find them better than the plastic ones. You can turn them faster. It all depends on preference and what you're trying to get out of it. There's no right or wrong type of rope to use. Just experiment and see which ones you like. The only type of rope I wouldn't recommend are smart ropes. Anything that has like electronic crap in it where it's counting your skips for you. You can use your own brain to count your skips. And actually, why do you need to count your skips in the first place? Just go by feel. Surface. You just need a floor. I would recommend that you do it barefoot. So I would choose a surface, especially if you're not accustomed to skipping. Like even me, I still would not skip too much on concrete barefoot. So I would recommend getting some kind of a foam or padded mat. This is about 1 inch thick of high density foam flooring. You can get these also online. You can also do it on the grass, which makes it a little trickier for the rope, but it's even better for your feet because the surface won't be perfectly even, but it'll still be forgiving. So you'll have to be more precise about how you turn the rope. You will get extra benefits for the strength and flexibility of your foot because it's a more natural surface. If you have no other options but to do it, let's say you're in an apartment or something and you only have hardwood floors, I would recommend putting on some shoes. I won't get into shoes because that's a whole nother post, but comfortable shoes that hopefully give your feet enough space to splay naturally. Not shoes that crunch your feet together. Now let's briefly just give you some tips on how to skip safely and efficiently. To keep it simple, you want to move as little as possible, like no wasted movement, so no big turning of your arms. Try to just turn them as much as necessary and focus most of the action in your wrists. Your stance should be narrow, so don't jump with your feet wide. Your feet should be straight, so don't have them turned out. If anything, they might slightly pigeon toe, depending on your structure and your gait right now, but they should at least be straight. Then when you're jumping, think of disturbing the ground as little as possible. The less you disturb the ground, the less you will also injure your body. If you're always in shoes, then you might have lost the natural sensitivity of your foot of where to put pressure, because when you have shoes on with a lot of padding, you could basically put the pressure anywhere and you're not really feeling it because there's so much padding. So it's good to get a feel, like stretch your toes out, move your feet around, and just put different parts of your foot down and see where it feels good. You'll notice pretty quickly that landing on your heels does not feel good for your joints or your foot. Also, landing on the insides, towards the insides of your feet, is not good. So you want to keep the pressure on the springy kind of outside ball of the foot area when you're jumping. this is what it should look like when you're starting off. Okay, you can do like a double jump like that with a slow turn to get a rhythm. And then if that's easy, then you can just do single hops. So notice that my shoulders are relaxed, my elbows are in close to my body, and I'm landing with my feet straight and close together, right underneath my body, right underneath my hips. If you take it to the grass, like I was saying before, it's going to be a little bit trickier because depending on how long your grass is, it might interfere with the path of the rope. So you may not be able to scrape it as much along the ground. You may have to keep it kind of hovering slightly off the grass a little bit more. So it's just good for perception. It's good to do it on different surfaces because it just makes you more intelligent in your body. You're still trying to disturb the ground as little as possible and get a feel for how you're landing. Don't look down at your feet while you're jumping. Try to look straight ahead. You can look down to check that your feet are straight, but then keep your posture natural. One tip that I use to help people sometimes, jumping on a precise spot, like precision jumping. So either on the floor you can put down like masking tape, make a little X, or if you have chalk, you can draw little circles where your foot would be landing. So set up your feet first, close together and straight, and then mark out circles around where your landing should be. Or if you have something like a weight plate, put that down, and then you basically just try to land on a more precise target as you're jumping. The more precise your footwork is, the more efficient your movement is. It's just like cleaning up your movement a little bit. That helps to make it a little bit more efficient. I thought of one more tip that's important. Rhythm, because that's really rhythm. If you have a good rhythm, the better rhythm you have, the more energetically efficient you'll be jumping. So you could put on some music. You find a tempo that you want to skip to, and I would recommend a tempo of 180 beats per minute or faster, but not slower, because you want to utilize elasticity. So it doesn't have to be that fast. You can do it a bit slower at first if you want, but try to work up to 180 beats per minute, which is 3 beats per second tempo, and that's a good target to set for yourself. But work on keeping a steady tempo, a steady rhythm, and you can either put on music that has the tempo you're trying to keep, or even just download a metronome app and use a metronome. Okay, the next question that usually follows is how long should I do this for, or how many times a week, etc. That depends, because I don't know anything about you who's watching this. So start off with maybe something conservative, like set a 2-minute timer and use that as your first goal. Just take small baby steps into it. So set a 2-minute timer and try to skip continuously for 2 minutes without stopping. Some people might do that and be like, oh, that was easy. Okay, great. So increase it to 5 minutes. Some people might set the 2-minute timer and they can't even get 10 seconds without tripping themselves up. So that's why I'm saying it's completely individual. There's no right or wrong. You have to listen to your body and adapt it to the level you're starting at. So start conservatively always. Start on the safe side, on the easy side, and you can always have room to gradually ramp up. If you start too much, then you might just end up doing something stupid like injuring yourself unnecessarily. So don't do that. In terms of frequency, there's no reason you couldn't skip every day. It's not like you're going to cause damage to yourself if you do this every day. It's kind of like walking in a way, but it's a little more force through your joints obviously than walking, because you're kind of jumping or hopping. But you can definitely skip every day if you build up gradually. The only thing I would suggest you pay attention to is soreness. So a little bit of muscle soreness is not that important, but if you haven't skipped, you might find that your calves or the muscles in your feet get very sore. So if they're very sore to the touch, then take a day or two off before you do it the next time. If you have joint or connective tissue soreness, like your tendon is sore or your joint is sore, then that is not a good sign. That means you're either skipping wrong, you're not landing and leaving the ground well. So you need to refine your technique. So go back to the video and watch my tips and see if you can refine it a little bit. Or you just have some existing postural issues or other issues that you may need to correct, in which case you should get that sorted out, and feel free to reach out to us at info@athleticengineering.ca if you want some customized help with that. Otherwise, enjoy your skipping.